everybody, welcome back. Today we're taking a bit of a break from covering obscure Japanese imports, and instead we're going to take a look at something that's awesome, that was released everywhere in the world. Though I will say the cheapest way to play it is still on the Super Famicom. It is Darius Twin for the Super Famicom and SNES. It was released in 1991. It's of course developed and published by Taito, and it's one of my absolute favorite shooters for the SNES, really one of my favorite 16-bit shooters. It's pretty well known that the SNES isn't held in high regard for its shooters, not like the PC Engine and the Mega Drive. Typically when you think of SNES shooters, you think about a lot of slowdown, and you think about gameplay that's going to be weaker than what you'll find on, again, the Mega Drive and the PC Engine. Not so with Darius Twin. I think when they made Darius Twin, they should have broke the mold, because this, in my opinion, is a near perfect shoot-'em-up game. The gameplay is very much in the classic Darius style. There's not a whole lot of frills here. It just plays really well. You blow up a ton of enemies, and when a collection of 6 cubes emerges on the screen, blow them all up, and a power-up will emerge that'll either power up your main laser, your horizontally shooting bombs, which eventually become a laser, or you can get yourself a protective shield, which is like the most useful thing ever in a shoot-'em-up. It gives you a few extra hits before you die. Collecting more power-ups increases their effectiveness, and it seems like it just increases it indefinitely. You can get to, the end of the game, and your shots are still changing. The shield is still changing color and becoming more durable. After completing each stage, you have a choice of which stage you want to take on next. I think this is the only area where Darius Twin is a little weak. Some of the areas, there's not really a great deal of difference between them. They pretty much look the exact same. There might be some differences in enemy placements or patterns, but that's really about it. Even the bosses are the same, but that's really the only complaint I could have against this game, because it plays very, very well. It moves at a fairly brisk pace, but again, there's like no slowdown ever. You can also play with 2 players if you have somebody available, and you'll probably encounter some slowdown then, but when you're playing the single player game, like no slowdown whatsoever. This game came out the same year as Gradius 3, which Gradius 3 is a great game, but it is the slowest damn shooter on the face of the earth. Here we have Darius, looks great, plays fast, and there's no slowdown despite the fact that it's on the SNES. It kind of bucks all those stereotypes about SNES shooters, and I think it's just an absolutely fantastic game. The graphics and sound design in Darius Twin are also really good, which is pretty typical of the Darius series. They always have really good graphics and sound design, and in general that's kind of typical of Taito, who always made really good games. The graphics in Darius Twin are really beautiful. The backgrounds are all super colorful and detailed. There's a lot of stuff in the foregrounds as well. The enemy designs are great. Usually a lot of enemies on screen at one time, again with no slowdown, which is impressive in its own right. And the boss designs are really cool too. Lots of giant fish and squid and things like that. Space fish, space squid. That's pretty cool. A lot of people know that the Darius series is the one with the giant fish, but they're fish bots. They're not really space fish. You gotta wonder who's in there piloting the giant fish spaceship, who designed it. I'm rambling. Did I mention I'm not scripting these anymore? The soundtrack is awesome. rocking 16-bit music, the kind of stuff I really like to hear when I'm playing a shooter. The first stage definitely has the best song in the game, but throughout the entire game you're going to hear some really good music. It's going to get you pumped. It's going to, keep you invested in the game. It's going to keep you locked in and focused. Love the soundtrack. Love the graphics. They complement the gameplay really well. Again, this one is just awesome. So, as if it wasn't already apparent by my gushing and fawning over this game, I love it. Like I said, it's one of my favorite SNES shooters, and it's up there with some of the better 16-bit shooters, and I highly recommend it to shooter fans. It's awesome, especially if you don't have a whole bunch of shoot-'em-ups for your Super Nintendo. I'd say this is the one to go for. There are a handful of really good ones on there, but this is among the best. Like I said, the cheapest version out there is for the Super Famicom. You can typically find loose carts for about $10 US, and it doesn't get that much more expensive when you go to the other regions, North America and Europe. I think the highest you'll probably pay is up to between 30 and 40 bucks, which is a little high for a shooter, for most people at least, but when it's a shooter that's this good, I think it's okay. Definitely go out of your way to play Darius Twin for the Super Famicom and SNES. It's great. You won't regret it. I guarantee it.